read about how the energy is generated, what are renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, and the natural gas. So there will be different sources, renewable as well as non-renewable sources. The first thing, it is like in science you have read that energy is the capacity to do work is called energy. It is one of the most important sources on the earth. It is required in each and every sphere of life, and we need energy to perform different works. All the inventions of science have been successfully implemented only because of energy. And energy has made possible all the comforts of modern life. So energy can be converted from one form to another form in various ways. So the conversion of energy is more important. And whenever we talk about energy, then we know that energy is created in different ways. So in this chapter, you will read about renewable as well as non-renewable sources of energy. We use energy in our homes for cooking, for running electrical appliances, and many other ways. It is also used for lighting, for fighting, for street lights and all, and for running of the vehicles. So, what are the different sources of energy which are used for energy? So, in this chapter, we are reading how the energy is generated. Energy is generated both from renewable and non-renewable sources. The chapter of EVS is just like science chapter. Okay, so energy is generated both renewable as well as non-renewable sources. So you will not find the topic difficult. It is just science topic. Coal and petroleum are the major commercial sources of energy. Commercial sources, they are still being used and they are mostly used everywhere in the world. And they can boost the renewable sources of energy. Solar energy is not called a traditional source. It is a future source of energy. It is still not considered mostly used. So the most commonly used sources of energy are non-renewable sources. So sources of energy are of two types, renewable and non-renewable. The renewable sources of energy are, you can take a screenshot if you want, but this is something you can see in your science book also. So there is nothing to worry. Renewable sources and non-renewable. Non-renewable sources are called non-conventional, and non-renewable sources are called conventional. Example, solar energy. Renewable sources of energy, why are they called renewable? They are called renewable because they can be renewed, and once they are finished, they can be used again. So what are the renewable sources? They are, why are we talking about this in EVS? Because in environmental studies, whatever we study, it is related to environment. So we are talking about energy sources, and the prospect of depletion of resources of oil, natural gas, and uranium have, now this is something which is not which if you are not finding easy, you can exempt it. The volatility and uncertainty of the petroleum fuel supply. We all know that petroleum sources will not last for long. They will get finished sometime. And there is a crisis in 1971 caused by the abrupt curtailment of oil shipments. So this happened at that time when petroleum was not transported from other countries to the major nations. So there was energy crisis because all the countries were dependent on petroleum. After that, the Indian government has taken many steps for the utilization of renewable sources of energy. So at present, what is the situation in the country? You must be seeing that lot of alternate sources of energy are being used. What are the different sources of energy which are being used in the country? You can type below the video what are the different sources of energy and how the government and what the government has done for the different alternate sources of energy. So there have, now in this book you will see what are the steps taken by the government. It says there is a term here, CASE, Commission for Additional Sources of Energy was set up in 1981. Department of Non-Conventional Energy in 19, and these are the different departments. You can take a screenshot of this if you want to see the names. National Hydropower. Now there are different sources, but I am sure you have heard about NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation. This was set up because thermal power, which is burning of coal and petroleum to get energy, was set up. So it is still functioning. There are many types of renewable sources. Now these sources of energy were started because of the petroleum crisis, which it is written here. When it started, the governments in different parts of the world had to look for alternate sources. So the first alternate source which was found was solar energy. And why solar energy? Because the supply of solar energy is inexhaustible. It will continue to last all over the world for millions of years. That is why solar energy is considered to be the best renewable source of energy. The sun, it is hundreds of millions of years, it is giving large amount of energy. Sun has the capability of fulfilling all energy requirements of human beings, and it is free of cost. And another advantage, what is the other advantage of using solar energy? You can type below the video. The energy supply, however, depends on the condition of the atmosphere, which can be affected by human activities. So it is the biggest form. These are the advantages of using solar energy. It is the biggest form of renewable source of energy, and solar energy is said to be the main source of energy of all energy forms which are present all over the world, because solar energy is used by plants, or it was used by plants in the ancient time. So it is being used by plants also, and the plants generate energy which is used by us. Therefore it is considered as the main source of energy all over the world. Two main types of devices which are used to capture solar energy, you all must have heard. They are, one is the solar furnace. There is a picture shown here. It is a furnace where the sun rays fall on it, and it focuses the sun rays to a place where, in this place, all the sun rays will be reflected and they will focus at one place, and here you can boil things or melt things. It produces so high temperature. So this is a large arrangement, and thousands of semiconductor cells can be used. So two main devices which are mentioned here, they are you can say that they are the solar furnace, and they are actually collecting the solar energy. The solar energy, you must have heard that it is used for cooking of food, and it is used for generating electricity. So they are designed to concentrate solar radiation, because sun rays spread in different directions. So when these rays collect at one point, they produce high temperature, and which can be used for the flat plate solar collect. Now these names again you should not confuse. Solar energy can be used for heating water. You must have seen solar panels fitted over houses and hotels. They boil the water, and this water is used for boiling the water free of cost. It can be used for cooking, the solar cookers. Then solar radiation may be converted directly into electricity in the solar cells. So these three names you must have heard, so you don't have to learn anything. This is general part of your life. And the next is, with the help of solar batteries, more than 1 kilowatt of electric power can be generated. So if you have seen it, it is present in schools and different places where the sun rays are focused, and they store the energy in a battery. They generate electricity which is stored in a battery, and then the battery can be used for lighting of bulbs at night. So in some countries, specially designed solar these ovens are used for boiling of food, for heating of the food. Unfortunately, solar energy itself is free. So this is the disadvantage. High cost of the collection. That is why solar energy is considered to be less popular, but a lot of things have been done in the coming at present. We are You must have seen that lot of electric vehicles have been generated, produced. They are saving the pollution, they are saving petroleum. So in future, in another 5 to 10 years, you will see lot of solar vehicles which will be launched. Then the next source of energy is wind energy. Why is wind energy called the alternate source? Because wind is normally not used and it is non-polluting. Although wind is intermittent and diffuse, wind is not present every time. Wind turbines have been developed to convert this energy to electric power. So windmill, everyone must have seen. In this windmill, in the windmill, the air makes this move. When it moves, inside it is connected to a rod, which is connected to another rod, which is moving a turbine. A generator is there. So normally a generator moves with the help of petroleum, but here it is moving with the help of this. And when the wind blows, then it moves and the generator moves and electricity is generated. So this is considered to be non-polluting, but it's it depends totally on the velocity or the speed of the wind. If the speed of the wind is slow, then also it will move, but electricity generation will be less. A wind farm has been built up at in 1986 in order to produce electricity. Other places have been set up, and there are a lot of windmills set up in different coastal areas because there is wind supply continuously. So that advantage of this is it is non-polluting. You have to spend money only one time, but the disadvantage is you have to wait for the wind. So you cannot set up a windmill plant or a wind plant anywhere. You need a particular place where there is continuous supply. So it is mostly in all these places are near the Orissa, Maharashtra. They are near the sea area where the wind continuously blows. So there are benefits of using wind energy. It is a renewable source of energy. It causes no pollution and it is not expensive. Why it is written not very expensive? It means somehow it is expensive. How can it be expensive? Because of the setting of the plant. Next is the hydro energy. Hydro means tidal energy, where hydroelectric power plant is there. You have seen dams in the city where in this dam the water is stored. So this is the right side of the dam. On the left side of the dam, you store the water and let the water level rise up to a place. After that, the bottom of this dam there is an opening. So this is not the opening, there is a bottom of this dam where there is an opening through which the water rushes out and it is under this area. So it will be deep inside where the water comes out at a high speed. Then it is connected to a turbine and the turbine moves with the flow of the water. This water which moves the turbine is then sent to in the canals. So again, in this case, it is an important renewable source. No pollution is there. Electricity is produced from generators derived which are driving with the help of water turbines. In India, maximum more of the energy is generated with the help of the turbines which are moving with the help of water. Converting the energy in moving water is electricity has been long standing technology. In India, most of the electricity is generated with this. Only 2% of the world's energy requirement is met by dams. So what about the other part? It is mostly generated by burning of coal. When coal burns, it produces steam. Steam is used to it produces heat. Heat is used to boil the water, and then the water is pressure is steam is used to move the turbines. The technology involved in simple in hydroelectric turbines change the energy of the fast flowing or of the falling water. So when the water flows fast, it moves the turbine and electricity is generated. In the generation of hydroelectric power, water is collected, like I have told you, at a higher elevation. Then it is led out through large pipes. So when the water moves through the pipe, the pressure of the water makes the turbines move. In the course of the passage down the pipe, the falling water comes out. Hydroelectric power plants are usually emplaced in the dams, and you need high areas where there is enough water. So there are different dams in our nation. You can name any dam if you know where electricity is generated. Name of a dam you know where electricity is generated. This hydroelectricity or the energy can be used for many purposes like irrigation in the industry, like the water which is left, it can be used for irrigating, and it is also used for producing for domestic purposes. The hydroelectric power is utilized on a large scale by various countries, including India and United States, Russia, India, and these are different nations. What is the advantage of hydroelectric power? It is a renewable source. Water is present. So when water is present, you will get electricity. And due to the recurring nature of the hydrological cycle, it means water, if there is life on the earth, there will be water. There will be water in the river, and you will always get the supply of water. It is a pollution free, but there is a disadvantage which is not mentioned here. The disadvantage is that if large amount of water is collected, if large amount of water is collected and allowed to move, then it will always all the sediments of the water will settle down. Like if you collect water in a dam to a higher level, what will happen? All the important nutrients will settle down, and the water which will go down, all the nutrients will be left on one side of the dam. So the water which comes on the other side of the dam is less, having less nutrient. The next source of energy is tidal energy. Tidal energy is due to the tides. So this energy can only be generated by the rising and falling water tides. So it needs tides, and tides means only in coastal areas. So again, this is a free source because tides will always be there. Ocean energy or tidal energy. A dam is constructed across a bay to trap tidal energy. So you need a place where the flow of the tides is used to move a turbine. When the tides move, they make the turbine move. Now, what is the advantage of tidal energy? Abundant, large amount. There is sea, so there will be tides produced, pollution free and cheap. It is not expensive. So all the conventional sources, solar energy, wind energy, water energy, tidal energy, they are free of cost. They are easily available. They are pollution free. Next source of energy is biomass, the biogas. It is also called the biogas energy. It is produced by the cow dung, used for cooking and other purposes like providing light in the rural areas. What is the advantage of biomass? There are cattle everywhere, animals are present everywhere. So if animals are present everywhere, they will produce waste which can be used for producing gas. And this gas can be used for by the villages people for cooking. Biogas is produced by decomposing the waste, the animal waste by bacteria, and these bacteria produce methane, and so this is the name you should know, methane and carbon dioxide, and this mixture of gas is called biogas. So there is a question in the at the back which is using this name. The residue is the waste. After the gas has been produced, the waste which is left can be used as a fertilizer. This is the advantage. Uses up all the waste, and it is a good non-polluting source. This is common in all alternate sources and reduces diseases of the eyes among rural, because normally in the villages the women have to burn wood for producing fire, and therefore in that case they produce lot of smoke which affects their eyes. Now, what are non-renewable? Those sources which cannot be renewed and they have a limited lifespan on the earth. They can be exhausted by using, since their rate of formation is slow. They cannot be replaced quickly. And what are they? The simple example is the fossil fuel. Fossil fuels include any class of materials of biological origin occurring within the earth's crust that can be used as a source of energy. So fossil means dead remains of any living organism. Fossil fuels include coal, natural gas, petroleum, and shale oil. These are the three sources: coal, natural gas, petroleum, and oil. They can like crude oil or petroleum. It also exists in gaseous form as natural gas. So fossil fuels are produced either from the dead remains of the ancient plants or from the dead remains of the animals. So you have to remember that there are most commonly used first fossil fuel is the coal, and the second fossil fuel is the petroleum. All fossil fuels can be burned with air or with oxygen. So, what are fossil fuels? They all contain carbon and were formed as a result of the geologic process of decomposition. So, there are two main common sources: one is coal, and the next is petroleum. So, one is formed from the dead remain of the ancient trees which died billions of years ago. When those trees died means that there were a lot of changes on the earth. During that process, the trees which were found, which were living at that time, in some areas of the earth there were earthquakes, and these trees got buried inside the earth. And after it took millions of years, and today they are found deep inside the earth. In this picture there is nothing given, but you will see it in science also. Another is petroleum. Petroleum is another product which is found inside the earth. It is formed from the dead remains of sea animals. The fossil fuels are formed by the decomposition of the buried remains of plants or animals. So from plants you get coal, and from animals you get petroleum. And the name is fossil fuel because it is dead remain. So the in the example is, first they have explained coal. So coal, I have told, solid, usually black, carbon rich compound, which is most of the it is found in stratified or sedimentary deposit deep inside. When you dig inside you get a black substance which can be used as a source of energy. It is used not only as a fuel, but it is also used in dyes and oils and other substances. Coal is presently major source of energy in the production and electrical power using steam. Then the coal is also used, composed mainly of the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These are the main part which are present inside the coal. And how did this come inside the coal? Because coal is from the dead plants, dead trees, forests in different areas of the earth. So when you dig these, you will find these substances. When they decompose, they change into coal, and the transformation of peat, the initial product of this decomposition, is known as peat. So in the beginning, trees decomposed and they formed a substance which is called peat. The transformation of peat in lignite is the process of pressure. So when the trees died, they were buried inside the earth. When they were buried inside the earth, with time they changed into this substance, which is today seen as coal. And in addition, gasification and liquefaction produce gaseous and liquid fuels which can be easily transported. So apart from coal, when the coal is taken out, other substances are produced, and the basic source which are fuel in the industrial revolution. So coal is still used in different parts of the world as a source of energy. In turn, large scale exploitation. Now since the 20th century, coal has been its place to petroleum. Earlier coal was used, then petroleum, now petroleum, and both coal are non-renewable because their sources on the earth are less. So now we are shifting to alternate sources. Petroleum is the industrial revolution brought on an ever growing demand for a cheap and more convenient source. So why petroleum became famous? Because it was non less polluting, and it was convenient to use, Energy had previously been provided by human and animal labor and later by combustion of fuel. In the beginning, animals were used for transport, then machines came, solid fuels like wood and coal were used. Later on, it was found that they produced lot of pollution, so it was switched to petroleum. Therefore, they were collected with considerable effort and laboriously transported. So today, what we see that petroleum is mostly used. Liquid petroleum, on the other hand, was a more easily transportable. You can transport and use it easily. Before petroleum products can be marketed, certain impurities have to be removed. So this is called refining of crude oil. You will see this section in your science book, alternate the sources of energy. This portion, if you don't have the book, you can see this there. The process of cleaning of the oil. So when oil is taken out from the earth, it is petroleum, everyone has seen. It looks yellow or orange in color. But when oil is taken out from the earth, it is black. You will see the fractional distillation or refining of petroleum is the process by which, now this is the definition of the process. The process is fractional distillation. In this book, the picture is not there, but in your science book, you will see that fractional distillation or refining of petroleum is the process by which components of oil are separated into fractions. And refining is based on a simple principle that different fractions of oil have different boiling point. So what is done in refining? In refining, there is a, you can say that there is a process. In refining, what is done? Uh, there is a long furnace. You will might see this in your science book, and it is a long process which is called the refining column. From the bottom, you send the oil. It is heated strongly. When it is heated strongly, it is heated up to more than 700 degrees Celsius. It changes into vapors. So when oil is heated, you heat it, it becomes changes into vapor, and these vapors are sent inside the a chamber which is many feet tall. It may be 30 feet tall. Inside, these vapors condense, and then when the vapors rise up, they start decreasing in temperature. And there are different pipes in different chambers. So what happens when the vapor rises up? It cools, and at different place, different temperatures. You will read this in later on chapter. In this book, there is a brief idea that refining is done. So at the bottom, it is showing refining is based on the principle that the different fractions of oil have different boiling point. The substance whose boiling point is highest is collected at the bottom, high boiling point. And when the vapors rise up, they start to cool. So at the top of the furnace, you will get the substance whose boiling point is least. This is mentioned here. Crude oil is heated to 400 degrees and above. All the components having near about boiling point will evaporate. When these vapors rise up, they change into gas. So here the temperature is more than 400, but when the vapors rise, their temperature decreases. So at different compartments are there. There are different compartments. Here the temperature is maintained 350, then 340, then 300, and then so on. So when the temperature of the vapor reaches 350, the vapors which are going up, they are a mixture of different substances. They come out and then they are changed into substance. And at the top of the furnace, the only gas is called the petroleum gas, which is the LPG which we use at home. There are many useful substances which are obtained during fractions, which are collected during fractional distillation. So what are the different components which are obtained during fractional distillation? First is the petroleum gas. We have to just remember the name. Petroleum gas is the LPG gas. It is boiling point is below 40. and it mainly contains butane. It is the major component of the petroleum gas, and it is liquefied and it is used as LPG. Okay, so petroleum gas is the component which is obtained from petroleum. The next is petrol. You will see these names in your science book. If you don't have this EVS, you can see it in the science book also. Petrol, kerosene, diesel, fuel, and residue. Petrol, you know, its temperature is 40 to 170 degrees. You don't have to remember this in for the EVS. When you will do this chapter in science, then you will have to do in detail. So here for EVS, you have to just understand some of the name of the components. So petrol, kerosene, you know, diesel also you know, and residue is the waste which is left out. It is used for making road, the coal tar. Then next natural product is the natural gas, which is the CNG. All of you must be knowing about CNG. It is called compressed natural gas. This gas is found inside the earth. This also you will see in your science book. You will see that where oil is found inside the earth, above oil, this is not the LPG gas. This gas is found along with petroleum inside the earth. So when petrol is taken out, then this gas also comes out, and then it is directly supplied after purification to the places. So what is the benefit of using CNG or natural gas? It mainly contains methane, ethane, and propane. Three names are there: methane, ethane, and propane. When natural gas burns completely, carbon dioxide and water are formed. So this is the advantage. CNG, why it is preferred? Because it is not giving out any solid fuel, solid waste. It is not giving out poisonous gas. It is just giving out carbon dioxide and water vapor. Both of them mix in the air, so it is non-polluting. The other sources, the combustion of the gas is free of carbon monoxide, which is the poison, and it is completely considered to be very less polluting. Natural gas is more ubiquitous than oil. It is derived from both land plants. It is more ubiquitous. It means it is found more commonly used in different places, and it can be conveniently used, and it is less polluting. It is found from both plants and animals, aquatic animals. What are the advantages of natural gas? This also you will see in your science book. There are many advantages of natural gas over other fuel gas. The first advantage of natural gas is that you can transport it in the form of, you have seen natural gas plants in the CNG pumps, it can be transported directly by pipe, and it does not produce smoke, prevents pollution, and it produces high calorific value. It produces large amount of energy. This is the advantage. It does not produce poisonous gases, and it can be supplied directly by using pipelines. This is the advantage. And in India, it is found in Tripura, offshore in Mumbai and these areas. Very soon your city will also have. It is still having, but it will be mostly available everywhere. The many uses of natural gas. Natural gas is the normal name given to it. It is found naturally. It can be used as a fuel for homes, industries. It can also be used for producing ammonia, and they react with the acids to produce ammonium salts for fertilizer. So CNG is you also not only used as a fuel but also used as fertilizer. It provides carbon which can be used for making tires. They are black in color. It can be used for making carbon which is used for paints, and there are various uses. Although fossil fuels are a major source of energy in today's modern world, they are also responsible for pollution. So fossil fuels are considered good, but their main problem is that they cause pollution, and this has increased everywhere due to addition of harmful and poisonous gases in the air. And the pollutants which are given out are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, smoke, and nitrogen monoxide. So the fossil fuels which are mostly polluting are Coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum produce both of them. CNG and LPG produce only carbon dioxide and water vapor. They do not cause. So they also are polluting, but they do not cause any harmful pollution. So this is the last portion of this chapter, and you can see, you can take a screenshot of this if you want. Fill in the blanks. Decomposition of the waste by bacteria produces, you can take screenshot of this. Decomposition of the waste by bacteria produces methane and carbon dioxide, and this is called, we discussed this in class. You can take a screenshot of this if you don't have a book. The waste by bacteria produces methane and carbon dioxide, and this mixture is called, type what is the answer of this. The mixture of methane and carbon dioxide is called, you can type the answer. We have discussed this answer, and if you have forgotten, then we read it just now, that the mixture is also called, here it is, we read it, it is the biogas. Then dash is the major source of fossil fuels. This is solar energy. You can say sun. Sun is the major source of fossil fuels, solar energy. Dash is a thick flammable and a dark colored liquid. So this is crude oil, not petroleum. Crude oil is the name given to the black oil, which is purified to get petroleum. Crude oil is a thick flammable and a dark colored liquid, namely formed of different fractions. There are different fractions of petroleum, so you can write fractions here. Then the next part, the gas which escapes from the fractionating column is called, which gas comes out, which I told you here, the LPG, liquefied. So you will write petroleum gas or liquefied petroleum gas. It is called liquefied petroleum gas, which is LPG. So this also you can take a screenshot. I will show you both. Yes, so this part you have to do from here till here. Coal is a renewable source of energy. Is coal renewable or it is non-renewable? So coal is a non-renewable source of energy. So this is false. Solar and wind energy are the main commercial sources of energy. Are they main commercial sources of energy? We read it here that there are sources of energy. So this also you can take a screenshot. The main conventional or the commercial sources of energy. So sources of energy are renewable and non-renewable, and their examples are also given. So what are they? Are they commercial? Are they mostly used? Solar and wind, they are not the major commercial. Petroleum and coal are mainly used. They are alternate sources. So this can be called false. The residue which is left after the production of biogas is used as manure. True, we read it just now that the waste of biogas is not thrown, can be used as a fertilizer. The coal mines of Jharia and Bokaro are the biggest mines. This is true. Kerosene fraction has a boiling range varying from 250 to 350. Here it is given. The fraction with kerosene is this. Also you can take screenshot if you want. There are temperature ranges, otherwise you will see in your science book. This is given there. So what is this statement? The last kerosene is not 250, it is less than 250. So this statement is also false. So from this you have to do only true and false and fill in the blanks. At the most short things will be asked which are from the explanation. You can revise the explanation by listening to it. That's all. You don't have to worry. Now we will continue with the next topic. So stay connected and join in the next class.